"Where are you right now?" I asked, angered by Gordon's absence on Angelia's big day. I called him, reaching the end of my patience. Then he said something about being on a trip to Australia with Mom and Dad on Angelia's ceremony day. "Are you out of your mind? I can't believe this. Don't get mad just because you weren't invited on the family trip." Gordon, a mama's boy whose favorite saying is "Mom comes first," forgot about Angelia's ceremony event and took off to Australia with the money saved for Angelia's future. Well, if that's your attitude, I have my own plans. Saying this, I hung up the phone and took a certain action. Days later, after Gordon returned home, he bombarded me with a persistent 30 calls. Reluctantly answering, I heard, Hey, the house is gone." Gordon was in such a panic I could tell even over the phone. I told you, didn't I? I have my own plans. My name is Iola. I'm currently 34 and work at a travel agency creating brochures. I met my husband, Gordon, through an acquaintance and got married 12 years ago. But this marriage had its issues even before it started. Gordon's dad is the vice president of a major pharmaceutical company and is said to be the next president. A man from a distinguished family, Gordon, 5 years my senior, graduated from a prestigious university and works at the pharmaceutical company where his dad is employed. He holds a position that is recognized as elite by everyone, including himself. On the other hand, I'm just an ordinary person. I didn't graduate from a renowned university or work for a top-tier company. I don't know why Gordon fell in love with me, but perhaps he chose me for my inner qualities rather than family background. Amazing that someone so distinguished likes me. I honestly felt elated at the time. However, a person appeared who crushed my blissful feelings. Gordon's mother, Anissa. Anissa's affection for Gordon was excessively doting, almost abnormal. Even when I visited for the marriage introduction, Anissa's attitude was overly clear. "Ah, nice to meet you. I'm Iola. I'm here today for our formal family meeting. Thank you for taking the time." Coming from a distinguished family, I had searched a lot before this day for mother-in-law approved attire, fail-safe gifts, and the right words for the family meeting. My voice was a bit shaky due to nervousness, but I thought I managed to speak my first words without any problems. However, Anissa was not so lenient. "So, you're a girl from an ordinary family?" she said. I thought Gordon, who said he didn't care about family backgrounds, would bring home a beauty that defied expectations. But even your face is ordinary. She scrutinized me with a frown. An ordinary family? An ordinary face? Before I could feel shocked, irritation took over. Father-in-law Chester, who heard this, was completely indifferent. He just sat there like part of the background. Even Gordon, who should have stood up for me, didn't defend me. Instead, he just smiled at Anissa and said, "Anyway, hurry up and serve Mom's cooking. That's what I came for today." Carefree Anissa seemed pleased with Gordon's remark, and her mood improved instantly. Yes, Gordon really loves Mom's cooking," she said, almost skipping to the kitchen to start cooking. The situation calmed down a bit after Anissa went to the kitchen. Even after the family meeting, Anissa kept contacting me, saying I wasn't suitable for Gordon and strongly opposing our relationship. While I was worried about what to do, I discovered I was pregnant. "Gordon, it seems I'm pregnant," I said, feeling a bit guilty because we were opposed by the parents-in-law. I nervously broke the news to Gordon. "Awesome, I'm so happy. Am I going to be a dad?" Thank you, Iola," he said, overjoyed, contrasting my anxious feelings. As tears welled up in my eyes, Gordon embraced my shoulders. "Let's definitely be happy together," he assured me. I was overjoyed when we reported the pregnancy to the parents-in-law. Getting pregnant before marriage? What a scandal. It would be if the neighbors found out. "Get married quickly and make sure to have the baby," Anissa said. They reacted like that, changing their attitudes so suddenly. It was almost laughable. It was clear they didn't really care about me, just about appearances. And Gordon, nevertheless, with Anissa's approval, we managed to get married. We hurriedly arranged the marriage so that it wouldn't be known that I was pregnant before the wedding, just as Anissa wished. A few months later, a healthy baby girl was born. We named our lovely daughter Angelia. I believed that a happy future awaited us. While I was hospitalized after the birth, a smiling Anissa came to visit. "I wonder if it's a cute boy like Gordon," she said as she approached the baby. But the moment she realized it was a girl, I heard her click her tongue. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but after the tongue click, Anissa said something unbelievable. What? It's a girl? If I had known it was a girl, I wouldn't have said to have the baby. Excuse me, if it's not a boy, the elite family's genes will be lost. We need a child to carry on our genes. What was the point of letting you marry into our family? She complained. Finally, she said, it's a waste to spend money on a girl. I'm going home today. With that, she picked up the fruit basket she had brought for the visit and hurried out of the room. That foolish mother-in-law. The pain of just having given birth was momentarily forgotten in my indignation. After Anissa left, Gordon came, and I told him what Anissa had said. However, my kind mom wouldn't say something like that, he said, laughing it off. It's true. Well, I can see where Mom is coming from. We are an elite family. We can't stop this lineage, right? Let's try for a boy next time. Even Gordon started saying such things. It doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl. This is so outdated, I thought. But I didn't have the courage to talk back. I resolved to avoid the in-laws as much as possible and looked forward to being discharged. 12 years have passed, and Angelia is now 12 years old. Anissa still glares at me every time we meet and seems to dislike me. Her attitude towards Angelia is also terrible. Andrea. Anissa calls her by the wrong name. It's Angelia. When will you ever remember my name, Grandma? It's terrible. Well, such a bold attitude. Whose detestable personality did she inherit, I wonder? She frowned at me. Me? That's why I didn't want to be involved, I thought, but kept quiet. As for Chester, he's still as indifferent as ever. Even after 12 years, he's like part of the background. He doesn't speak or engage in any topic. Because of this, Angelia has no attachment to the in-laws. I've reported several times to Gordon that Anissa harasses me, but his response is always dismissed. Really, that's how it is, huh? He shows no intention of making any improvements. Gordon is a complete mama's boy. When I cook, he says things like, Mom's cooking is the best. Or when I do laundry, Mom would fold it more neatly. His mantra is, Mom comes first. I was getting fed up and kept my distance from my in-laws. However, when I occasionally visited the in-laws' house during events like Christmas, they would rush me. When are you having a boy? Hurry up and give us a child to carry on the genes. I couldn't just choose the gender or have a baby at will, so I brushed off their comments. Kelly's wife had a boy. She's competent, unlike Iola. Hearing the same thing over and over was exhausting. Gordon, perhaps brainwashed by Anissa, kept saying, if only Angelia were a boy. And he recently started saying, even you're saying that it's fine to have a girl, but Mom says, I was tired of these days, but for Angelia's sake, I wasn't ready to consider divorce. Whenever I said something to Gordon, he threatened, I'll tell Mom. And true to his word, Anissa would call. You're bullying Gordon, how dare you? You, as his wife, she began yelling. She was like a monster parent. I'm not bullying anyone. It's time to let go of your son. I blurted out my inner thoughts. What did you say? I realized I had spoken my mind, but I didn't care anymore. What Anissa is doing is harassment. She's a monster parent. Please stop calling for every little thing. This strict wife, if you bully Gordon again, I won't forgive you. Annoyed by her loud complaints, I hung up. It felt like Anissa and I were in a state of war. One night, Gordon approached me with something he wanted to discuss. What do you want to talk about? I asked. Mom and Dad are planning a trip, and I want to give them the travel expenses, he said. Really? Seeing my mood sour, Gordon hurriedly added, Look, Mom and Dad live on their old age pension, right? I owe them a lot, so I want to give them this gift. They're getting older and soon won't be able to travel where they want. It's now or never. I get it, but how much are we talking about? $2,000. $2,000? Where are they planning to travel? We don't have that kind of money to spare. We also want to travel but can't afford the time and money. I know, I understand, but you get how I feel, right? Please, I'm asking you. Fine, $500, but that's it. And I won't be giving them anything in the future, okay? Really? Thank you. Mom will be so happy. I didn't want to give money to in-laws who harass me and don't cherish Angelia, but I understood Gordon's desire to repay his parents. Since Gordon is an only child and I also have no siblings, I empathize with the desire to do something for one's parents. But this was a mistake. Later, I received a call from Anissa. Hey, you only gave $500. Gordon said it would be $2,000. I answered the phone expecting a thank you call from Anissa, but it was the opposite. Not a single word of gratitude. She was in battle mode from the start. I couldn't stay silent. Excuse me, Gordon wanted to repay you, so we gave what we could. How can you say that we can't afford to give $2,000 for travel expenses? How dare you trample on Gordon's goodwill? You're the worst. My family has expenses too. Angelia is still young, and she's starting middle school next year, which will be costly. You understand that, right? Anissa, my child was a boy, so it was worth spending money on him. Angelia is a girl, right? She'll just get married eventually, so it's a waste. That money would be better spent on us. What are you saying? Still talking about girls and boys like this? Unbelievable. I was speechless at Anissa's words. Oh, because of Viola's stinginess, we had to settle for a modest trip despite my good intentions. Not only was there no gratitude, but I was also met with such harsh words. I was boiling with anger. Giving you money was a mistake. Enjoy your modest trip. With that, I hung up. I will never do anything for those people again, I promised myself. Later, presumably back from their trip, Anissa invited Gordon and Angelia to the in-laws' house, deliberately excluding me. I was irritated by her blatant attitude, but I didn't want to see her either, so it suited me fine. More importantly, Angelia's elementary school ceremony event was coming up. It seems parents now wear dresses and children need suits. I was pondering where to buy the dress and suit. After the ceremony event, I had plans to gather at a friend's house with Angelia for a party. I had to think about what to bring as a gift, so I was relieved to have some time to myself. When Gordon and Angelia returned from the in-laws' house, Angelia, usually so lively, silently retreated to her room looking downcast. Hey, Gordon, Angelia seems down. Did something happen? I don't know, nothing special at the family house. That couldn't be true. Angelia's always full of energy, never just going to her room without saying hello. I knocked on her door. Angelia, what's wrong? I asked. Angelia came out and hugged me, crying. Grandma said I was an unwanted child and that I didn't have any desserts. Grandma, Grandpa, and Dad ate lunch, but they didn't give me any. What? That's unbelievable. I was shocked. I never expected Anissa to treat Angelia so cruelly. Just wait a minute, I said, and quickly prepared a meal with what we had at home for Angelia. Eat while talking. It's okay. Angelia tearfully started to eat. Everyone acted like I wasn't there. That's horrible. What about Dad? Dad was just enjoying Grandma's cooking and didn't say anything to me. What? That's unbelievable. Furious, I stormed out of Angelia's room and confronted Gordon with a demonic look. How could you not give Angelia any food or souvenirs? What were you thinking? I exploded at Gordon in anger. But Gordon, more defiant than ever, replied, She was being spoiled, that's why. I can't believe it. Angelia felt invisible to everyone. How can you, Anissa and Chester, treat a child so blatantly? I yelled at Gordon. Quiet. I only did what was necessary, he shot back. How can you say that's necessary? Aren't you ashamed to treat your own child like that? This is why I hate women, always making a scene and crying. We should have had a boy. Mom said so too. Mom again? Whether it's a boy or a girl doesn't matter. Now enough is enough. Don't talk back to me. If you keep this up, I might consider divorce. Remember that. Gordon was authoritarian, perhaps influenced by Anissa. Divorce? You go that far? I felt my fist trembling with anger. You're always saying horrible things to Mom, bullying her. What? It's the other way around. It's them harassing me. This time it was your mom who harassed Angelia. My mom wouldn't do that. Anyway, Mom also said it might be better to consider divorce, and I'm starting to think so too. Mom, okay, I get it. I'll rethink it too, but at least come to Angelia's ceremony event properly. We'll continue this conversation afterwards. Fine, let's talk when we're calm. I'll stay at my parents' place for a while. I'll be back for Angelia's ceremony event." With that, Gordon quickly packed his bags and left. Unexpectedly, I learned how Gordon and Anissa were thinking about the future. Gordon didn't contact me or return home after that. I told Angelia, "Dad is going to live with Grandma and them. He said he would come to the ceremony event." I decided to be honest with Angelia, thinking there might be no future with Gordon. Angelia just said, and didn't ask anything more. She seemed to be considering in her own way. A few days later, it was the day of Angelia's ceremony event. Angelia and I got dressed in our suits and dresses, full of spirit. We were looking forward to Angelia's ceremony day. Angelia had already gone to school, and I was alone waiting for Gordon's return. But no matter how long I waited, Gordon didn't show up. We might miss the ceremony event if this continued. Having reached my limit, I called Gordon. "Where are you right now?" Hearing my angry voice, Gordon said something shocking. "Viola, it's been a while. Right now, I'm on a family trip to Australia with Mom and Dad, having a great time." "What? Today is Angelia's ceremony event. You said you'd be back." "Hey, don't get mad just because you weren't invited to the family trip," Gordon taunted, seemingly drunk and careless. "You forgot about Angelia's ceremony event day for an Australian trip? Are you insane?" "Unbelievable. Ceremony events don't matter. I'm having the best time here and won't be back for 3 weeks." Perhaps influenced by Anissa, Gordon remained defiant. In the background, I heard Anissa's voice. "That foolish wife, tell her not to call if she's not family. You should just divorce her." "Yeah, I've been thinking about divorce too, so don't call me again." "Well, if that's your attitude, I have my own plans too." I hung up. After that, we successfully finished Angelia's ceremony event and had the party at her friend's house as planned. Dad didn't come after all. Sorry, Angelia. "It's not your fault, Mom. I'm okay as long as I have you. Don't push yourself, Mom." Her words comforted me, but my heart ached. I silently apologized in my mind. After the party, once Angelia was asleep, I went straight to the convenience store to check the balance of the savings account I had for her. As I feared, just as I thought, the balance was zero. The $30,000 savings were all withdrawn. He used Angelia's savings for his trip with his parents. I was overwhelmed with shock and anger. Tears wouldn't stop. It was money I had saved desperately for Angelia. I would never forgive that family. The next day, I began preparing for my retaliation against Gordon. First, I went to City Hall to gather the necessary documents. I decided to settle everything and return to my parents' home. I had already informed my parents, Reader and Jim, about everything that had happened. "That's what happened. You've been so brave. Come back home with Angelia. Let's live together. Seeing Angelia every day, there's nothing happier. Don't struggle alone. Come back anytime," they said kindly. Angelia really bonded with my parents, and when I told her we'd be living with Grandma and Grandpa, she excitedly said, "Yay, I'm so happy," which reassured me. A few days later, Gordon texted, boasting about their luxurious family trip to Australia, taunting that I wasn't part of the family. He asked me to pick him up from the airport in 3 days. I wondered when he had become so arrogant. Maybe it's because he's with Mom. He still takes such a bold attitude. Of course, I ignored such texts without hesitation. I sent all my belongings to my parents' house and arranged for Gordon's belongings to be delivered to the in-laws' house on the day he returned. After clearing out all the belongings from our house, I returned to my parents' home with Angelia. My parents warmly welcomed us back with, "Welcome home. We've been waiting for you." Eventually, the day of Gordon and his family's return arrived. Gordon texted me to come to the airport at 12, saying he had arrived, but I ignored these texts as well. After that, more texts and calls came in, about 30 in total, but I ignored them all. Soon after, Gordon must have arrived at the in-laws' house, as the phone rang again. Ignoring it wouldn't solve anything, so I reluctantly answered. "Why are you ignoring me? I've decided I can't live with you anymore. Let's get divorced." "Divorce? What are you talking about all of a sudden?" "You said it. You wanted a divorce, and your beloved Anissa seems to want it too." While we spoke, I heard a doorbell on Gordon's end. "Wait a second." He seemed to go to the door, then came back panting. "What's this about a bunch of luggage arriving at my parents' house?" he asked. He sounded panicked. "That's your stuff. I sent it to arrive when you got back from your trip. Glad it made it. This is too much. Anyway, I'll be there in about an hour. The call ended. An hour later, Gordon called again. What the hell is this? My house is gone. Yes, I said. I don't want to live with you anymore, so I sold the house. It looks nice and clean, doesn't it? Gordon was shocked to find an empty lot where our house once stood. That's impossible. The location was good, so it sold quickly. I sold the land during their trip, intending to sell everything. What about the money from the land sale? Forgot that land was my parents'. Dad bought it for real estate investment before we got married, so the money goes to him. Where are you and Angelia? Hearing Angelia, she grabbed my phone. Dad, I'm with Mom. You didn't come to my ceremony, so I'll never forgive you, she said. Before I could release my frustration, Angelia delivered a blow to Gordon. Sorry, I don't know what to say. Taking back the phone, I said, Angelia and I won't forgive you. You'll hear from my lawyer about the divorce. I expect you to handle child support and property distribution properly. Wait. Oh, and the savings you withdrew? I'll be claiming that too. Let's discuss further with lawyers. I hung up. I left the divorce proceedings to my lawyer, ignoring calls from Anissa. She must think Gordon is not at fault. I instructed my lawyer to demand the $30,000 Gordon used and child support. The in-laws paid it off by liquidating their savings and selling their car, but as an elite family, they should be able to handle that much. Gordon later joined a dating website, bizarrely specifying he wanted a woman who could bear a boy. My friends told me he was ridiculed at parties for his creepy behavior. Embarrassed by my ex-husband's antics, I doubted anyone would take a 40-year-old divorced man with such demands. The divorce was finalized, and I became a single mother. Angelia, now in middle school, made many friends and enjoyed school. With my parents' support, I juggled work, household, and parenting, leading a fulfilling life. Recently, I even met someone interesting at work and considered starting a new chapter in my life.